I am a transsexual woman. Um, I've been trans for now almost 8 years. I've had quite a bit of surgeries. Um, so a couple rounds of FFS. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Do you know what that is?
No, you'll have to explain like all the things.
Um, FFS is facial feminization surgery. So I've had my skull from like top to right here, even my Adam's apple shaved down,
Wow.
be more feminine, and I had a scalp advancement, so my hair used to be like right here, and then they moved it, and then I had a brow lift, so they stretch it out more.
Mhm.
Then I had my lips done, so they had this cut, and they pushed it up, because if you look at your husband, for instance, this in between will be longer probably than yours.
Yeah, I actually was. It's interesting. I was listening to some podcast or something about the measurements between different parts of the body and how it's such a big difference between men and women.
Yeah, absolutely. Big difference, actually. And they did the same thing to my chin. And then, so I obviously had top surgery as well. And haven't gotten bottom surgery yet.
You want to?
I'm on the fence about that, to be honest with you. Because just with all the risks and everything like that.
And I keep hearing about a lot of deaths and like
yes, lots of infections.
Gone wrongs.
Like, yeah. And I know people that have had it that love it and that hate it. So I'm not going to say anything too mean against it. But I will say that I've noticed is the downfall for trans women. Like once you get that, like everything goes downhill from there, because you can have a great transition, as a trans woman without getting that. I've been doing this for 8 years almost, and it's been great so far. Like the healing process, the just me as society, all in all, it's just been great for the most part. So yeah, it was a few years after I was doing the transition when I started noticing kids being touched. So like, grooming.
Oh yeah.
And indoctrinating. They were like transitioning kids. I was like, this is weird, and so I started speaking up about that. I started diving into it, and then I started noticing non-binary as well. I actually noticed non-binary back in like 2015, 2014. And I was, we all kind of just rolled our eyes. We thought it was just a few people, but they were sprouting up more and more and more over the years. So, and then what really did it for me too was when they started to attack women, and specifically lesbians. Like changing definitions, like there would be trans women that would say it's transphobic not to date me, kind of thing. And for me, it's just like that does not mean they're transphobic. It means that they're a lesbian and they don't like dick or something like that. Sorry, I'm just saying it. I'm just honest.
No, that's what it is. We're supposed to be very open, so you're absolutely right. Well, and it's a sexual preference. It's just that simple. Like
sexual preference. Yeah, I can tell you right now, I have no problem in romance. I don't, and I'm a bisexual. I didn't always know I was a bisexual until like a year and a half ago.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because you're in your 30s.
I am. I'm young 30s. But
how did you know initially? Like, go start way back.
Oh, start way back.
Yeah. When did you? Because you've been transitioning for 8 years. You're clearly more women than most women, probably. Like doing, taking care of yourself and doing the things like.
Yes, fitness. I'm sorry, I put on my glasses.
It's okay.
I can barely see. So I knew as young as 7
Wow.
8.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I grew up in like, I was born in 1991. I grew up in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and I was homeschooled, and I
Oh,
was
wow.
conservative Christian. So we didn't have any of this gender ideology. I mean, nothing. I didn't even know what gay was for a while, but I knew in my heart there was something different about me, and it was scary. Like, we've kind of botched the whole, like, born in the wrong body, but
Mm-hmm.
it also felt morally wrong to be perceived as a boy. This was when I was like 7 or 8. I was freaked out, like, all the time. I did not understand it, It was a hard time, but I always knew. Puberty was really rough, because you go through that, male puberty, and all your body's changing, and that was very rough for me because I hated every bit of it. It was, I was 17, 18 when I found out about what you could transition. I had no idea about that. And long story short, I was 18, 19, and I told myself, one day you're going to transition. And I was like around 23, and I know I shouldn't say this, but I started self-medicating. And so I think a little bit longer than 8 years, but...
Like you're saying with estrogen, or what do you self-medicate with?
Estrogen, and I had birth control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's so interesting.
Yeah. Because biologically male, you can't, that's not for you. It's got a lot of stuff in it. And there's been a lot of trans women, when they couldn't get that, they would take birth control.
Oh, so it was a lot of like, did you know anyone or just deep searching on the internet?
A little both.
Okay.
A little both. But they weren't trans. I didn't know any trans people until like I got to my mid 20s. So when I was going full throttle with stuff and everything. So yeah, I guess like a little bit longer than 8 years. But as far as surgeries go and everything like that, I would say that's when 8 years happened, changing of names, everything like that.
Mm-hmm. When you did the surgeries or any of that, was it obviously scary or not? Or because it was to think like this is, because I hear about so many stories now where it's like, and it's the same with biological male, female, whatever. Some things are just irreversible. Like,
oh yeah,
and it's,
I can go back.
Yeah, like it's scary to think like kind of a mind fuck in some sorts of like,
oh yeah,
this is it. This is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's so I was scared because I never went through surgery before, and the first surgery I had was the first FFS I had.
Okay.
And that was a 13-hour surgery.
Where did you do that?
Here in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or is it easy to find, like,
now it's becoming more and more easier.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like giving these surgeries away, I feel like. But
I wonder why. I guess it's a lot of, because insurance doesn't cover it, do they?
Now, yeah, some insurance does.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to pay about 30-something thousand out of my own money to cover some things, like electrolysis, laser, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like my hormones and everything like that took, and some of the surgeries that was out of my insurance. So, but yeah, I would say that the first surgery, I was just like, I couldn't believe it was happening finally, and because I hated my face, and I always knew I was not supposed to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you the amount of surgeries I've had now, and it's crazy because I keep saying I want to do more, even though like my girlfriends, they're all like, girl, you're fine, you don't need any more. But yeah, I would say out of all the surgeries, we're looking at close to a year of healing I've done.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, the reality is when you think about whether it's Hollywood or, you know,
Yes,
people get crap done all the time. So
absolutely.
for you to get something that just makes you feel more comfortable and makes you feel more you or whatever you want, you know, wherever you're aspiring to go and be.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's like, hey, this is my money, this is my time,
Yeah.
and yeah, I've had 10, 11 surgeries, something like that.
Wow.
And yeah, and I know people that have had way more than that too.
What was the scariest or the most maybe drastic?
The drastic, I would say the first one, the 13-hour one, because they called it the break-in surgery.
Oh.
Because just like, I mean, for 13 hours, they were like sawing down my face, I mean, my skull was exposed.
Is that insane that they can do that?
It is crazy. It's so amazing, so fascinating. I told them if I could, I would stay awake to see it. Yeah, I know. Blood doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me either. For a long time, I wanted to go into forensics, so I got a good stomach. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, so I know you're into fitness, right? And I'm into fitness. I was like 2 years ago, we were deadlifting in the gym over here, and I cut myself because I guess my hands just got super dry from the bar, and blood came out, and it was a lot. I was just like, damn, this hurts, and one of the girls started like falling over. I'm like, yeah, Kelsey, are you okay? And it's crazy. Yeah, blood does not bother me, but it bothers some people.
Oh, my husband cannot handle it. One night I got home from work and he's sitting at the table doing this, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? Like, are you okay? And he couldn't look, and he literally like chopped the end of the end of his thumb off. He was like cutting something, and I was like, okay, like, and I was like, how long have you been sitting here? He's like, I don't know, I can't look at it, just handle it. And I'm like, okay, then there.
Is he okay?
He's as okay as ever gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I would say where were we? I don't know.
So you had your surgeries, your procedures, your transition, 10 years, whatever ago. And I know this because, we were chatting before and following each other on social media. I know where your beliefs are, or your, I guess, morals is what you'd call it. How does it fare with being, well, actually, yes, I'll go there, but I'm a ping pong ball, so stay with me.
You're fine.
This is how excited I am. Can you explain the difference between, because I know the big thing is gender dysphoria, transsexual, which is a tranny.
Yes, tranny. We're reclaiming it. Kind of like how they say dyke or guy say faggot.
Okay.
I know plenty of them. They say dyke.
But those are just lesbians.
Huh?
Those are dykes.
Dykes are lesbians.
Okay.
Yes. And I know some gay guys that they have to say, yeah, I'm a faggot, and
Yeah.
like that. And I say I'm a tranny, and sometimes I'll say even more so because like everybody wants to police our language. I'll even sometimes say she-male or lady boy. Yeah, we're all doing it. I'm not kidding. I'm in some group chats with some trannies, and like there's normally when we think of trannies, we normally think of fabulous ones.
Like drag queens kinda.
So drag queens normally are gay guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I personally do not like drag queens. That's just me. I don't like it. It's just...
Well, there's a lot of this, I don't know what you'd call it, but lots of advertisements and things that you're seeing in the news with the drags being pedophiles. And like, they're the ones that are really seeming to be interested in the kids. Yep.
It's not really transsexuals. It's not. It's because you know what transsexuals do? We we get done with that transition, and then we move on in life normally. That's what we do. you can normally see us in Barbados or something, living a fabulous life, or in some city. Yeah, just we're married. Some of us have kids, families, and everything like that. And same thing with the LGBs. They're the same thing. The majority, all this weird stuff that's happening with the kids is these gender queer, gender fluid, transgender, umbrella people that's doing this kind of stuff. Now, there are some gay people, sure, that's doing it, but the majority are these non-binary, woke, gender ideologists kind of thing.
What is your being, and as we talked about, I don't want to group everyone together, but being and having gone through and lived through and experienced what you have, what is your take on all the stuff that's happening? There's so many things. I don't even know where to start. So whatever comes to your mind first, what is your take and your opinion on anything and everything, whether it's the women in women's sports or the kids, the kids, the early transitioners, where it seems like it's a money thing for, big pharma, or, because I don't know, I know you, but you seem to know more about this community and have a little more insight. What do you think?
What do I think about all of this? Well, if you're asking me honestly, and I've talked about this in my Twitter spaces, I've talked about it in, other podcasts I've been on. I really do believe that it is about money, but I do believe it's ultimately about population control. I do believe that, yeah. Because, so for instance, I'm sterilized. I can't produce, which is kind of funny when you think, not kind of funny like haha, but interesting, because if you notice these women that's going into the prisons, these trans women, you see the mugshots and they look, I'm sorry, that's not that is not a true, that's a dude. Mm-hmm. That is not a trans woman. That is a dude. You are literally putting a dude in there, but they will, some of them do, like, once they get convicted, they'll play the trans card or whatever like that. Well, if you notice, they're raping these women, and some of them are getting them pregnant, right? Mm-hmm. Me, any of the other transsexual girls that I know, like, we cannot do that. Like, physically, we can't do that.
Right.
So that just that alone, like, really shocks me, because, like, people aren't talking about that. Like, okay, if these are trans women, how are they getting these girls pregnant? Mm-hmm. So that was an eye opener for me. I'm like, they're not on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Mm-hmm. So that hit me, like, instantly once I started seeing these articles about these women getting pregnant in prison. I'm like, y'all aren't putting trannies in there. Y'all are putting men in there. And
why are they allowing it, do you think?
I honestly, I feel, well, so this whole stuff started happening too. It made it worse when Obama let self-ID happen. So you can go to whatever bathroom or whatever space you feel comfortable in that's aligned with your gender identity. Say in the 1990s, 80s, 70s, when there was transsexuals, we were very few. That's something we should talk about too. There were very few of us. And there still are. Okay, let's be honest. There's still very few transsexuals that have gender dysphoria. That really, it's sex dysphoria. We're calling it more so because, like, love it or hate it, I believe that sex and gender are one and the same. So, like, you can change your outer appearance, to look more feminine or masculine. Like, there's trans men that, like, for instance, Buck Angel and Marcus and Mark and other people that I know that are very more masculine than some guys I know. You know,
Definitely.
Definitely, yeah. That is what we call transsexuals. Really, we seek to blend in, you know, and to not. We don't want to be noticed. That's the whole point.
Mhm.
We want to be. I mean, we want to be looked at as pretty or whatever like that, but we don't want to be seen as, oh, that's a trans person. You know, that was never our goal. And that's kind of like when you see these activists and these people that are being represented in the whole trans space. It's like they want to be seen as trans, and some of them really do. Like the whole non-binary people, like they want to look off different, you know, and that's like traditionally transsexuals. We want to blend in, we want to look pretty or handsome or whatever like that. So that was a big thing for us. We noticed that, but we didn't completely wake up till it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the LGBTs. All of us were like, you know, for the most part, just living our lives as we should. We finally got our rights. You know, we could get married. We could, you know,
adopt, whatever. Yeah.
Adopt, whatever.
Live life.
Yeah. Live life. So yeah, I guess we, you know, it's. I blame ourselves, but at the same time, like I don't, because like we were finally being free, and but yeah, we woke up too late, and some of us did start talking about it, but it wasn't enough like it is now. Now you have like waves of LGBT. The only difference is with the T, you only see like I know about 50, 60 that are speaking out specifically on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know. It's not just Blair White. It's not just, you know, Sarah Higdon or Buck Angel. It's not just me. There's plenty of us now that are speaking up. But compared to like the thousands of LGBT that's speaking up, there's only like 60 of the transsexuals that are doing it.
And what are you specifically speaking up for?
That's a good question. Okay, so I'm just gonna lay it out for you. Kids should transition. Kids don't need to know about all this gender stuff. Kids don't need to know about any of it, none of it, right? They don't need to be indoctrinated. They don't need to know gender ideology. And also, by the way, I do want to make this clear: gender ideology actually hurts everyone. It's Marxism. It hurts transsexuals. I'm against taking away the whole medical terminology for transsexuals, because ultimately that's what it is. It is a medical diagnosis. It's a mental disorder. I'm a male. I'm a biological male, and I have sex dysphoria, gender dysphoria, whatever you want to call it. And we transition to appear and live as the opposite sex that we were born as. Doesn't mean that we are the sex that we are. I'm still a dude, you know. It does not matter. I could, you know, when I go out to get my coffee or whatever like that, people think like I'm a female. They're like, "Here's your coffee, ma'am. Thank you," and that's it. Mm-hmm. It's just natural now. But we don't. That's not what's being pushed. You know, we've already had our rights for some time now. So I'm against that. I'm against self-ID, because self-ID is how you have predators and groomers and infiltrators. You know, you don't have really transsexuals, you know, because like I've called it out before in the bathroom too. I've called it out in areas that, like, you know, at a lesbian bar, for instance, and I'm not a lesbian because I'm a biological male. The only reason why I go to the lesbian bars now is because 3 of the friends that I have are lesbians, right? And that go to these bars, and they want me to go over there to stop these people, these men, from doing this. And I didn't believe them. This was a couple years ago when I started doing this, and I can't go as much as they go. I can't do that, but like once a month or so on, I'll go with them, and what I see is disgusting. This is a man in a wig, and like, this is not a trans woman. This is offensive to women, and it's offensive to me too, as a transsexual that has done the work, that has lived peacefully with no problems. it's like it's the most offensive thing. It really is. And you're calling yourself not only a trans woman or a you're not even calling yourself transsexual. They think that's derogatory, and they say that's those are the separatist trannies or trans women, because they believe in passing and everything like that. I'm not kidding. That's what happens on these discords and everything. And
what do they want?
They
just want access.
Sometimes I feel like some of them do, but not all of them. I feel like some of them just. It's like I don't know what to call it. I feel like because like you see videos in these people too in real life here in DC, I see it where they say you don't always have to pass to be valid. I'm like, yeah, you do. I'm sorry.
Hold on, what does that mean?
Pass. So like, a lot of people will say that, I pass as a female.
Ah, gotcha. Like if he has a freaking beard on and then wears a wig.
Not even a beard, but like a shadow.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah, anything. His muscles, it's just.
Yeah.
And you're 6'3".
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near 6'3". I'm not. And I see this, and I've seen it. I'm like looking up at these people. I'm like.
And the bars allow them in, I guess you can't not. I don't know.
Because it's no longer like the lesbian bars, for instance, are going away. There's only like 15, I believe, in the entire United States.
What? Really?
Yeah. Now everything's queer, which is also something that's very offensive too. I'm not queer. None of us are queer. We're LGBT.
What is cool? What? Explain that.
Queer? Queer is an umbrella term.
Okay, I feel like I heard of it for gays.
It's the same thing with transgender. Transgender is now like what transsexual used to be.
Got it.
Transgender is an umbrella term, so you can be gender fluid, gender queer, gender. That's where you have 98,000 genders.
I think that's as a outsider. The reason it gets so confusing is because, and it goes back to what you were saying about gender versus sex, and it's like we use the words interchangeably, but at the end of the day, what your sexual preference is.
Yeah.
I prefer penis. I prefer vagina, is different than what you are, or whoever. And it's weird how it's like it's become just so confusing.
Oh yeah, trust me. Especially if you live in the city. Are you in New York?
I'm in the city. I'm in Manhattan.
Yeah, I'm in Washington D.C. and it's. You see it all the time. I feel like, and so you don't really see it too much in the countryside or suburb side, I think. But here you do see it a lot. So, but it is homophobic, I will say, and it's all of this is really transphobic because trans is not non-binary. Trans is transitioning from one to the other to present
what you do to your body.
Yes, exactly. In the simplest terms, I feel like the whole trans, what trans is, it has been botched so much. You have people like Jeffrey Marsh and all these groomer people talking about trans identities and everything like that. I'm like, you're not trans. You're a dude, or there'd be a woman. She says she's a trans man. I'm like, you're not a trans man. You just look like a dyke, which is fine. Just be a dyke.
Yeah.
Just be a lesbian. There's nothing wrong with that. And when I say that it's homophobic too, is that, I do think that it's a way to trans the gay way, because there are more LGBT than there are true T's, I believe. I truly do believe that, because before there were very few of us, and I'll tell you, I know very few that I'm like, okay,
yes.
Yeah, AGP, because normally I see AGP, it seems like.
What is?
Autogynephilia.
Where they have a fetish, is that what that is?
Mm-hmm. I see that, yeah, with it.
Like Leah Thomas.
Oh, Leah, thank God. I was going to say, let's get on to the sports thing. I'm against that too. And all these people that are claiming the trans title, in these sports, in these female sports, let's be honest here, okay? That's not even trans. I'm sorry, but I see your pronouns, sir. Do you understand?
Did he have pronouns?
He has his junk showing, his bulge.
Oh yeah, you can literally see it probably.
And then you see his broad shoulders, and
those poor girls that had to be in the locker room with him.
Yeah, I'm like Riley. I'm like, if Riley sees this, hey, I'm giving you a hug, girl. I'm Team Riley on, completely. Like 6'4", looking like that, and not even. I think it was probably a year after his hormones where he started to compete with the women.
It's crazy.
But even if you were transitioning for years, even me, I still don't belong in female sports. I don't. None of us do. But I also don't belong in male sports either. I don't.
Right.
So, this is where I think, it gets offensive is when people say that or assume that you're automatically as strong as your male counterparts, And I can tell you right now, the years of transitioning and everything like that, there is no way I could ever be like I used to be, or like the males I notice. It's just not. It's not physically possible. We, the transsexual women, I would say we're the in between. That's what we are.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that. People say that's transphobic. That's not transphobic. That's the facts.
Yeah.
And you still have that leg up on women. My lung capacity, my bone density, my, did I say my lung capacity?
Yeah. Your cardio endurance, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, even though so much has gone down tremendously, I'm still, I have superior strength.
Do you ever have your levels checked?
I do. I have to.
Okay. Oh, and how often are you, I guess, you inject yourself, or how does it work with estrogen?
Oh, I take pills.
Okay.
Yeah, I have done the needles, but syringes, whatever you want to call them, but I've been doing pills for a while now, so, but yeah, I do get my blood checked every couple months, so there's very little testosterone.
Well, there are men, successful athletic men. I was listening, I can't remember what it was, but anyhow, there's this MMA fighter who's this big black dude, and his name's Derek Lewis. And if you look him up, you'll see he's one of the top fighters in the UFC. And he was explaining how he had really low testosterone, abnormally low. So it's interesting to think how even he could have very low testosterone. And I don't know, I didn't see the paperwork. I didn't see what his estrogen was, or, whatever the comparison was. But it's just interesting to see or to hear that he can still be a top athlete and still have low testosterone.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it just goes to show, and truly, men and women are we're different creatures.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And people, it's funny because, I don't really get in arguments with too many trans people about this, or trans anymore. It's normally women. I'm not kidding. Women have called me transphobic.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Women are crazy.
I don't understand it. Yeah. Women have called me trans. It's very confusing. I'm fighting for you. This doesn't make sense. This is not fair to women.
Well, it makes you wonder, what are they thinking when they think, they're just jumping on the train of sure, let's just get stomped and pummeled. There's that chick who was an MMA fighter, and she whatever, he had implants, and he was doing the
trans woman.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but just womped, broke some girl's skull.
Yeah, I know, the purple hair.
Yeah, short haircut,
She used to be a beret.
A what?
She used to be a Green Beret.
Yeah, her.
Yeah,
Pick on someone your own size, dude.
Yeah, I know. I did this poll a while back about, because I forget his name, her name, whatever. Um, I was just like, should I compete in the MMA just to fight, And I said their name, right? And people were like, do it, Laura, do it, do it. They were voting on it, and but then there were people in the comments saying like, no, you're too pretty. I don't want to hurt you. Like that. Okay.
I mean, you've invested a lot in it. You don't want to.
Oh yeah. I've done a lot of work.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to mess it up.
No, but I think that's the only professional sport I would, because I really would fight her, because like,
it's crazy.
All the women she's hit or he's hit, whatever, I don't care. It's just, for one, I would never hit a girl, period. Like a biological woman, I would never do. But I don't have any problem doing that. Like, because I know my strength. We should know our own strength, And even though I'm considerably weaker, I can't lift the same things I used to do a decade ago.
Yeah.
I can't, but you have to understand yourself, because it's not helping us either. If we really think about this, like, this does not help trans acceptance. If anything, trans acceptance gone down, and I don't blame society really. Like, you see what's happening with the kids, you see what's happening to women. I do think that it's orchestrated that way, though. I will be honest. I do think that. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I understand where your thoughts are on that and why. I just don't understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, because most women, and generally, are more accepting, less confrontational.
Yeah.
Not really going to ask questions. Just, okay, cool. Like, but I think that then when it comes to like, you're kind of interfering with like all the women's rights that have to become equals. And even the reality is and like, I talk about this with my girlfriends, like, me and my husband are not the same. Like, there are things like that just are more innate. Like, I'm more maternal, he's more, manly, whatever you want to call it. Even though like I'm much more of an alpha chick than most chicks, like, I still, like, everyone has their place, and men and women, we're just not the same, and we don't deserve the same treatment.
No, absolutely not.
And I think that, like, with all this stuff happening, it really makes you wonder, like, well, where are the feminists? And where are all the women that are supposed to be standing up for women? They're not. They're, like, standing up for the men, kind of.
See, I'll disagree with you there, because, like, there is this, like, wave of rad femmes.
Okay.
And we were discussing about this before, I think, where they're going the polar opposite now, where anything that is biological male is the enemy, and there's no nuance. So you have the trans rights activists who are, third wave feminists, I think, third wave, and then you have the fourth wave feminists now, so you have the left and the right. They're both Marxists. They both have the same tactics, like, there's been a few that have openly said, we'll win when people stop able to transitioning.
But that shouldn't be. Why does it affect them so much?
Well, you see like I said, it goes back to the TRAs, the trans rights activists, and you see what these radical feminists that are not on the total left side, right? Like, where the third wave or third wave, I'm sorry.
I don't know the waves, so I'm just kind of catching on.
So I think second wave was probably the best one. But third wave is where, if I'm not mistaken, is where you get all this woke shit from.
The waves are you saying like the generations?
Kind of? Somewhat. necessarily generation, but just like, you know, there was first generation where they wanted to have, equal rights and everything like that, and then there was the second where they wanted to be equal to us men, like they can go to work, they could do all this other stuff and everything like that, and they were equals in society. And then third wave was later on, like, just getting onto woke shit, and then fourth wave was you get anti-male, pretty much. You get anti-male, anything that is part of the patriarchy, pretty much. And then you have and then now there's people that are saying fifth wave feminism. What is that? So this is, but so all of this stuff is really hurting everybody because if you look at it, we need to like help with the kids. We need to have like, we really need to go back to the DS5 or DS4 where DSM-5 or whatever it's called, the medical diagnosis for transsexuals, where they do psychotherapy. We get rid of self-ID. That's how you get rid of all these predators and groomers and get the access away from them, because they don't belong in these spaces. They don't belong in the sports. They don't belong in. It's not trans either. That's not a trans woman. But by gender ideology, that is a trans woman. Based on the ideology, that is a woman. That's a trans woman.
I think what's crazy about it is I didn't even know about that thing with being passed with Obama. Like this is the first time I heard of it. And I've heard of, and I think that with social media, because I've always, up until only recently, I wasn't really into social media. I literally avoided the news because it's all just bad shit, and I don't feel like being a downer. So I wasn't really doing that. And with social media, you have the pages you follow. And so I try to follow a bit of both sides so I can kind of see a little of everything, because I don't want to be just so ignorant to the one things that I believe. But if I think that this is morally correct or morally not correct, like, there's so much with social media that it almost feels like, to some extent, it is really messing a lot of people up. Like, parents are pushing their kids to be this gender or that gender because the parents then can be famous or
victims.
Yeah, whether they're victims, or it almost feels like when parents can get their kid, like I see it with little boys normally, or like little boys, and the parents are like, oh, he's a girl, and he's like 4, and he has him in a tutu and is like doing all the things or whatever, and it's like, okay, that's fine. Like, boys need, if they have sisters or whatever, even if they don't, they need to explore and know. But like, my daughter thinks she's a dinosaur half the time. Like, I'm not gonna freaking go buy her flames and fire for her to drink, or wings, or let her jump off a building. Like, so for parents to see this, and then it seems like they're getting the reinforcements from other social media of like, oh, you're such a good parent, good for you, and it's like, no, you're like, it almost seems like you're brainwashing your kid to be this. So then it makes the parent look like, oh, hurrah, good for you. And I can't fathom it. Like, I
don't know too many, but every now and then I'll run into a parent that does stuff like this. So I did go to Pride this year, and in DC, and I will tell you, I counted 14 kids there, and each parent, you're gonna love this. Each parent, they were not a lesbian couple, they were not a gay couple. It was straight, heterosexual, white couples bringing their kids to this, and all it was kink, bondage. It was like, honestly, it didn't even felt like LGBT. It felt like just
a dominatrix parade.
Yeah, I just like, why am I here? This is not celebrating love and acceptance. This is celebrating BDSM almost. So it's, and there was the kids' faces. I was watching them. They were just like, gasping almost.
I can't even imagine. Like, I just don't understand what parents think they're doing.
Yeah, one girl was crying. crying, and her dad had to, because she was scared, and her dad had to take her out of there.
My daughter would definitely cry.
Yeah, and I wanted to cry, and I'm a grown-ass woman, so not a woman, but a trans woman.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, it's super wild. I don't understand. I guess some things, I don't know. What do you think there is, aside from us just talking about it and trying to spread awareness that there are good people in the world like yourself who know reality and not just pushing some bullcrap agenda?
So I think I have this new slogan. I'm here to build bridges, So you know how I was talking about the RAFMs and the TERFs, and then you have people on the left and right. We all need to. You have the LGB, and then you have the real T. We all need to be joining together, pretty much, to build these networks. Kind of like what we're doing now, yeah. But going to your state representatives is a big thing. I would say, you know. So, social media is a wonderful thing because it creates dialogue like this,
Mhm.
right? And, you're in New York, I'm in DC. I know people in Canada, I know people in California, Chicago, Dallas, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People in the UK right now. And we're all building these networks to find each other and to talk about this. And we're all coming up with ideas. That's how you create even more solutions. Like, I know I've been encouraging a lot of moms to start homeschooling their kids, which they have. And I've been trying to encourage my transsexual friends. Like, I don't hang out with trannies here, but I mean, like, all my friends here are females, pretty much. But online, and like in spaces, I'll tell them, like, I'll encourage them to start speaking up. And there's a good amount of us that are doing that. So talking about it does help a lot more than we think it does, because it gets the word out there. And I still run into people that are shocked when they meet a transsexual woman that actually thinks like this. When I tell them that trans women don't belong in female sports, they're shocked about that. I'm like, why are you shocked? And I'm like, does that look like a woman to you?
I can see his dick. Come on. No,
yeah,
but like
that bulges. Like, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
No, not a woman. Tuck that, dude. So yeah, I think doing that. I also think going to school board meetings and town hall meetings are very important. I am supposed to be going to one here as a open trans woman to speak on this, about the gender ideology that's being taught in the schools, that I don't agree with it, that it does not represent me. If anything, it harms acceptance for trans people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it does. I don't, like, I'll say this, like, I have two nephews, right? They don't know that, they just know me since they've been born as, the Laura.
Yeah.
And that's fine. They don't need to know what happened to me until they get much older.
Mm-hmm.
Now my older niece and my oldest nephew, they know because they're in high school.
Mm-hmm.
They got to kind of see it happen, but not so much really, because like I kind of disappeared for a little bit.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's another thing. Take away cell phones from kids.
Totally.
You're a millennial too, right?
I'm older than you.
You're older than me? Oh, okay.
I'm an 80s baby.
You're an 80s baby. Oh my god, okay. Well, you're still a millennial.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think of my little brother as a millennial. Like 2000s.
2000s?
Yeah, my little brother he was born in 2000.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a Gen Z, I believe.
I'm terrible with this stuff.
Yeah. And those are the ones that's doing all this too. I've noticed. So normally the predators and groomers, they're like millennials or Gen X.
Okay.
And then the weirdos, ideologists are normally either cusp millennials, so like mid-90s babies to 2000s that's doing this. So how the way we get rid of this, we get rid of self-ID, we get rid of the cell phones from the kids, that's a big portion of it. But yeah, I think that's how we would do it personally. That's how, I've been having a lot of success with it. Again, I have been attacked a lot lately, but that's for different
That
reasons.
probably means you're doing something right then.
Yes. Many people have told me if I have enemies, that means I'm doing it good. So.
Yeah. The other thing that I see with my kids, which is so weird to say that I have 2 kids, because they're little kids, like, right? My toddler's 3 and my little one is just a few months old, 8-9 months. But just building a relationship rather than just like, oh, here, watch Netflix, here's your iPad, here's your, like, we don't play like that. Like, we play and we spend time and we like, and it's not like, well, things are so monitored. I'm a helicopter, because I'm not a helicopter parent whatsoever. But like the way I grew up I grew up in the Midwest. So very like country, outdoors, like good, clean kind of fun. And we were just home recently and, playing with the cousins and like just being with family and do like that kind of stuff, rather than like just disappearing off with who knows who. Because truly, like, it only takes one wrong friend or one bad friend or, one bad influence for your kid to go down this terrible path. And at the end of the day, you want to be their best friend. Like, and
you want to be able to tell you everything.
Exactly. Even if she does think, well, maybe I'm gay or lesbian, maybe I am in the wrong body, whatever. But you want to be able to like be the person that they turn to, not they're just trying to figure it out by themselves. Because I can only imagine how scary that would be. And
I was scared. I mean, like me and my mom have a great relationship. We're very close. My mom is honestly my rock, and she's always been. And she, we still have a great relationship and everything like that. It's funny because, like, in the beginning of the transition years back, she would send me pictures of dresses, everything like that. I'm like, Mom, that's not my style. No. But she has asked before, like, why didn't you ever tell me? And I told her, straight up, like, I was scared. We didn't know everything that we know now, and it's not that I didn't trust you, but I was just, once I started getting into like my late teens, I didn't want to disappoint you.
Mm-hmm.
And she would tell me that you would never disappoint me with this baby. Like she's even said she's never seen me happier or live life fuller than, because she always could tell that I was hiding something, and now I'm not hiding anything, and that I'm, way more successful than I ever was prior. Then again, I don't really consider that part of necessarily the transition, but I think the transition did help. Like, okay, my mind is focused now. I can focus on the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But she has asked if you were a kid and you came out to me, like how the way you were feeling, would you want to have transitioned? Like, I'm sure I would have, but I'm glad I did it because, you being the mom that you are, you might have transitioned me. And, this is, and, she's kind of crying at the time, and I'm holding her. I'm like, but, I got to go through puberty, which is something that all adults or all people should go through because,
well, it's healthy.
It's one of the most important, if not the most important part of growing up.
Development, yeah.
Development, you have to have that. I mean, you look at all the things that's going on with Lupron, you know, there's brain swelling, vision loss, bone density, heart attacks, all of this stuff. Like, just from that, you know. And my mom, you know, being the awesome woman she is, I could have, I might not be who I am today even. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important. And it's like I said before, it's not like just because you go through your puberty does not mean that you can't have a successful transition. You can. But I also don't believe that everybody should transition either. So.
Well, it seems like it's just, and also exactly to your point, which is so valid, which is some parents and most parents, I would guess, in this situation, just wants to support their kid. They wouldn't know what to do, so they're just listening to their kid's lead, which makes sense. Yeah. But on some things, it's like, you know, I think that when the science and the psychiatrist or the therapist or whoever else is there, and it's gotten to this point where it's like, we're not allowed, the therapists aren't allowed to ask questions, right? Like I've heard this out west, like whether it's Washington State or Oregon or wherever out west, where they're saying like, your license can be revoked if you ask questions. And it's like, that's the job of a therapist. A therapist, that's what their sole purpose is to make you think about the things that you're, like to dig deeper and ask questions and to put meaning and thought behind it rather than, okay, like, let's do this surgery that is irreversible and then I'm screwed for life if I decide to change, like, not to transition.
Yeah. And then it's also the societal risk goes up,
mm-hmm.
If that happens too. So, like, we used to have psychotherapy for this stuff. We don't have psychotherapy anymore. We have affirmative care, affirmative therapy, and that does not help anyone.
Is that like affirmative action?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, oh, you think that you're trans? Okay. Here's
action. Let's fix it.
This. Yeah, exactly. And that's just not how the way we should be conducting this whole stuff with the kids or even adults, I would say. We used to have this 5-year plan pretty much where it would take years to transition. Do I think that we should go back to that? Maybe not necessarily, but I don't know. I think we should do at least a minimum of 3. But just to see, because that's how you also get detrans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's right now, like, I think 40,000 detrans people.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Nobody should have to go through that. You know, this is not for everybody. Not everybody is trans.
I just read on that girl's story, Cole or something.
Chloe Cole.
Yeah, I just came across her story recently, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like, it's so sick. It's so scary and sad to think, like, okay, well, now you're sterile, and that's that.
Yeah. Do you know Shapeshifter?
Yeah, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah. He, so when you see his picture, you're going to say, like, I think he looks better than me, but he transitioned, and now he's a detrans.
Oh, and, wow.
Yeah. He's, cut this out, actually, if you can.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Yeah, I just realized, because he is a friend, and I don't know if I want that.
I'll cut it, doesn't matter.
I'm sorry, but...
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super wild to see and hear about more and more of these stories because, as you said, 40,000, like, I know, even for me, like, I have an older brother, and I was a tomboy, and I keep saying this thing where it's like, save the tomboys. I was a tomboy. Like, I still would consider myself a tomboy. Like, obviously, like, I'm more girly, but, like, if I'll put a photo here of me when I was, like, even in high school, like, I was such a boy.
Right.
So to have had, like, someone saying, like, oh, maybe you're a boy, maybe you're, like, who knows what could have happened, and thank God nothing it was like
Right.
before that time. It's crazy because
It is crazy because they are, I don't know if you've noticed, but they're doing this a lot to the girls too. Mainly the girls.
yeah.
I've
Mhm.
noticed that. And I think that's a form of population control, if I'm really being.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about that. I don't know where where the dots came, but those are the dots that I also kind of started connecting. And I was like, I think it's just population management. Like, because it just makes you sterile and then you're stuck and that's it.
Yep. And now, luckily, I did save before I started it, the hormones.
Oh, you saved your eggs? Or, yeah,
sperm.
sperm? I'm like,
Yeah, I don't have eggs.
I'm looking at you, so I think chick, female, woman.
Really good. That's a good thing.
I forget.
No, good.
I forget you have sperm.
Well, now I don't. Okay. Yeah, I did say. This is good right here. I like this. No,
You saved your sperm. That's good. Good.
Because I knew I wanted to have kids one day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know one trans woman, and when I say trans woman, by the way, unless I'm doing this, I mean transsexual woman.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She, so she's kind of like me in the sense that it's always been men, right? But now, there's women involved for me.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not used to this necessarily.
Yeah, but it feels like if love is love, which is the thing.
Right.
And the reality is, if you've ever been in a long-term relationship, at some point, this just doesn't matter.
Right.
It just doesn't.
It's here.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's also something I've noticed with women is that they're better partners.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, they're much better partners in every aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Men think of trans women, they normally think of porn. So it's a fetish for them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is not something I do. I don't look at that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't do what they want you to do,
Mm-hmm.
So very, conflating, I guess. It's like, you have to kind of like gauge the man pretty much when they're interested in you and they find out that you're trans. You kind of have to like look at it.
What is general, I guess, response? Like, how do you navigate it? Because it is very like, because some men would probably be so upset, or they wouldn't be. I don't know. I don't know. Men are just, who knows?
So
but
it depends on where I'm at. Like if I'm here, if I tell them, like for instance, I'll be at a bar, right, and I'm not like this party girl. I'm not saying I am. I'm not like that. But
yeah.
Every now and then I'll go to the bars, have fun with my girlfriends, everything like that, and there'll be a cute guy. He has to be at least this tall to ride this ride. So at least 6 foot. And we'll get talking, everything like that, and it will get to a point where I will have to be obligated to tell him, I just need to let you know I'm trans. And it will go one of two ways. And the same thing actually applies to women here, because believe it or not, there's a lot of women that hit on us. But
yeah, I got you. Like lesbians.
Yes, and this will go one of two ways with both of them, right? They'll be like, oh, okay, and they'll be disappointed kind of thing, and the conversation will kind of like slow away.
Fizzle, yeah.
Fizzle, and then, or it will be like this. Oh, wow, you look great, and and be like, thank you, that's the whole point, and would like laugh and cut up and everything like that. And it was very interesting. A couple months ago, this one girl was just like, do you still have your I'm like, oh, that's personal. And she's just like, do you still have it? I'm like, do I have what exactly? And she's just like, do you still have your dick? I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's just like, does it work? I'm like, it felt so awkward. And I was just like, we're not even in the bedroom. We're at the bar right now. Like,
She just wanted to know what she was getting herself in for.
yeah, she was very and she was attractive. I did not expect her to she just seemed more classy. So I did not expect her to feel like this. You know, dating is hard if you're a transsexual woman. I will say that because you normally try to do your best to look pretty and to like when I go out, I'll either do my hair, I'll curl it, I'll present myself nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very hard sometimes because they're either looking at you as a fetish or they're looking at you as wow, you're beautiful and now you're amazing. Because once people start talking to you, for instance me, they normally good things happen, yeah, I've been in relationships before that's lasted quite a while, so it just all depends, but it does get kind of tough. I do gauge it though. Normally if the guy looks like a douche, I don't really. Yeah.
We're all avoiding those ones.
yeah, exactly. So
I think that it's so. One of the girls that I had on before, we talked about this because she did have the bottom surgery, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the proper.
That's good. SRS.
Oh, okay. So she did have that. And she was pretty open about it. But she said that most people aren't, and understandably, because she said that it's kind of like, how would I feel? And I'm open. I'm an open book. I don't care. I'll talk about anything.
Right, same.
So how would I feel if someone were just like, oh, well, what do you got down there? Or whatever. And I would, but when you think about it, if you're thinking about you're at the bar, obviously you're at the bar to meet someone, right? Or maybe you're not. But the general idea is if you're going somewhere and you're talking to someone, they think that, oh, well, maybe if there's a connection, there's a spark. Okay, well, let's see where this could go. Let's just make sure that all parts are compatible, I guess.
Right.
So it makes sense, even though it feels like it's just right to the point. It feels like it has to be, even though it's very... it's so intimate. It's a private conversation.
It is. It's very private. And not everybody has that.
Well, luckily you're comfortable enough with yourself so you can.
Oh yeah. No. I joke about things sometimes with close friends. One of my best friends in the world, Ashley. So she's a lesbian, right? And we're trying to catch up so we can get to her wife, right? And long story short, I was kind of doing this because I had on heels. I'm like, hold on, stop. And she's just like, what, Laura? And I'm like, I need to fix my tuck. And we're just kind of laughing and kind of tipsy. So, and other people heard it and they were dying laughing. There was these two girls, they were and this was on the sidewalk of DC, 1 o'clock in the morning, we're dying laughing. So I joke a lot, I joke about, well, yeah, I pretend to be a girl. So people you just have to, you have to be relaxed sometimes, I feel because life is too serious enough as it is, so.
100%. And it's so funny you say that. I have a girlfriend who has it reminds me of it because it's the sense of humor. Mm-hmm. She has 4 kids, and when she was pregnant with the last one, the youngest, her husband died. She was 6 months pregnant and he died. And now it's been 14 years. So it's been a long time. And she said that when the kids were younger, they would say they'd ask her something, well, Mom, I want blah, blah, blah. And she'd say, well, go talk to your dad. And it was her way to joke it off and laugh, like basically just to make light of a situation that's like,
right,
and that's what comedy is like. So
right.
it's I know exactly what you're talking about, and I totally appreciate that kind of sense of humor, because it's like, who else would you want to surround yourself with than someone who can joke about something then you can laugh at themselves, basically.
Exactly. Life is way too serious, and people walk on eggshells around LGBT people because they think like, you're gonna get offended and everything like that. I'm like, no, I'm a dude, and they just like, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I don't do that in real life, but with my close friends,
Yes, of course,
or people that we're, at a party with or whatever like that, yeah, lighten the mood up, and people like that. Life is, you need to be like that light that everybody wants to take away.
100%.
So, yeah.
Well, there's this saying, which we'll end with. I want you to give your information, where you can be found and all that. But the saying is, be a fountain, not a drain.
Be a what?
A fountain,
Yes.
Not a drain.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so where can you be found?
Yes, ma'am. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is Laura Mae's World, and Twitter is Laura_Mae_Sky. So I do get on both platforms, Twitter a lot more lately. You might not all like what you find, but I'm very open and very real on both platforms. I'm consistent with everything. So if you're for trans, you're not gonna like what I like. You're not gonna like me. So yeah, I'm not a snowflake.
Well, we can only appreciate the honesty.
Yes.
And any projects or anything you want to share that you're working on?
Yes, I'm actually part of a group called Transsexual Unity. It is with Buck Angel, me, and Mark Meets World. He's a trans man, and Tori Vixen. She's a transsexual woman, and Stephanie. She's the only biological woman that she's like the trophy, the token one that. But there is a story to why she's with us too, but we're, we founded Transsexual Unity. We're still growing. We're very small, but we host Twitter Spaces every Thursday, and we have subjects each time. This week we're going to be talking about the prison system. Last week we were talking about what do TERFs have against transsexuals. And when we say TERFs, by the way, we're not talking about, how everybody calls people TERFs now. They call me TERFs, and I'm an actual trans person, so whatever. But we're talking about people that actually do not want trans women or trans men or trans people, period, around. So yeah, we have different subjects, and it's been really good. So that's really the project I've been working on lately. I do have a podcast coming up in the next year. I'll be joining Tori. We're going to be making our own podcast. It's going to probably be called Two Most Hated Trannies. So be on the lookout for that too.
That is awesome. I'm so excited to hear it. Thank you for your time and your input and your thoughts and sharing and being so open.